Alright guys, I'm back. So I want to share something with you guys today. So you guys ready for this? No, actually I'm not going to get naked. If you were thinking that, I'm sorry to disappoint. This is actually a book review. So please don't turn the channel, don't click off. This is this book right here. I got this, as you can see, it's torn apart. I got this about 20 years ago. Literally about 20 years ago. So some of you guys might know the name, Pavel. Anybody that messes with kettlebells back in the day, most people didn't even know about kettlebells. I certainly didn't grow up with them. Now you see them in every single gym. This guy, Pavel, is probably the reason why they're such a mainstay. But this book has nothing to do with kettlebells. It has to do with some powerful lessons I learned, and I want to share those with you today. So in the last video that I talked about doing 1,000 push-ups a day, 1,000 push-ups and sit-ups, this book actually kind of changed my whole paradigm of how to work out. So what happened was, I got this early in my fighting career. I was competing, doing jiu-jitsu for 20-something years now, literally a quarter century. It seems kind of crazy to say, but I was in Barnes & Noble's, and I'm an avid reader, and a lot of books, that I read, some of them are, good, some are, life-changing. This is actually one of those life-changing books. The lessons I learned from this, which has completely changed the way that I work out, is that in the past, what I would do is I do focus on reps, right? I talked about these 1,000 reps that I do. I do countless reps. This book right here, it got so deep in concepts of how to use calisthenics that I literally, the lessons I learned from this, things I could do today, which I'm not saying this to brag, but just to point facts out. There's things that I could do today that a lot of people can't do. I'm saying, flags, right? Anybody that's seen a flag, that's a high-level calisthenic drill. Captain of Crush hand grippers, I could close the two. I have countless people that I always test people, go, hey, can you close this hand gripper? A lot of people can't. This ability to generate strength, I learned directly from this book. Qualities that I developed from this, the principles from this book are, it's crazy to say, but so the concepts that I learned from this book to this day help me. So the concepts I learned from this book, I wish I would have known these back when I was doing 1,000 push-ups, when I was just knocking out reps as a kid. I wish I would have known these, but nonetheless I actually have them now. And again, I've been reading this book, or I read it 20 years ago, and to this day some of these lessons just really stuck with me and helped me shape the way that I design my workouts. Again, feats of strength that I could do this day. So I like to share these points with you, starting with the first one, which is something he points out in this book, which for me it's just it's part, it's just something I know now, but it's I don't know if I thought about this before. It's that strength is a skill. So strength is a skill. What he means by that, I think a lot of times when we think of strength, we think of some bro, knocking out, grunting, sitting there knocking out curls and stuff. But the way he explains it in here, essentially it's strength is more like, say, somebody shooting a pool or somebody shooting a basket, right? The ability to generate strength, if trained correctly, has more to do with focus, concentration, and coordination than it does just being a brute or a barbarian. So he gets very detailed, but the first point when it comes to strength as a skill is that the ability to generate force has to do with your ability to generate tension throughout your body. And to me, this lesson is so powerful because if you think about this, if you think about when somebody's ripped, right? You see somebody who's ripped, you go, oh, that guy's ripped. Essentially, their body is just holding residual tension. If you look at the opposite of that, right? And I'm not trying to, talk down on people. People say, I'm out of shape. It's not that you're out of shape. You are in shape, but you're in the shape of, again, tongue-in-cheek, the couch. Think about this. If you sit in a couch, you sit in a position, name the position, you're slumped over, your body is going to start basically forming to what you do. So you sit in a certain position, your body starts getting loose, you're losing tension in that. The opposite of that is that when you do certain movements, you create tension. When you create tension, what that does is, number one, you can actually, again, what this book really talks about for strength, you become like a tow truck. You could shift into a low gear. As far as for aesthetics, if you're just after aesthetics, this isn't about creating bulky muscles, but you could actually just create this ability for your body to become rock hard. I'm saying rock hard, extremely dense. If you anybody that trains with me, or you can see I have very dense muscles, extremely dense. So, you know, to me, like, I heard the saying with bodybuilders, like, look like Tarzan, hit like Jane. That's the opposite. People that have these big bulky muscles that can't do shit. I want to have muscles that have the ability to generate extreme force. He goes detail by detail on how to generate force. So some of these details are that what he calls irradiation. I think it's irradiation. I haven't read this book actually in a while now, but your body can irradiate nerve force throughout all your limbs. So what this means is, like, imagine if you make a tight fist, you just squeeze your fist super tight. What you'll notice is that as you start squeezing, tension starts running up your whole arm. Now, what does this mean? What's the importance of that? When you generate nerve force, this tension within one limb, this actually irradiates nervous force energy throughout the rest of the body. So imagine if you're like doing you'll see in some of the demonstrations I do with the one-arm push-ups, but essentially I'm trying to like squeeze the ground, trying to keep my abs tight. And what's happening is I'm actually generating force up throughout my entire system. This allows you, again, to do feats of strength, like extreme feats of strength. Again, like if you do a flag, as you'll see, you cannot do a flag unless you could actually create force. This isn't about isolation. This is the complete opposite of isolation. Probably the best example of this is a gymnast. Okay, when we think of gymnasts, like, they're literally some of the most explosive, strongest people on the earth. Why? Because they could create extreme tension, right? Things I can't even imagine doing. I can imagine it, but I can't do it. You know, let's say like the Iron Cross. I mean, that's like, you know, the amount of tension those guys could generate is just, it's bonkers. This book, again, talks about in detail how to create that tension. And again, the way that you do that is you think of your body as squeezing. You think of squeezing, right? So if to give you a clear example, like next time you guys are working out, you guys are in the gym, to give you a takeaway here, squeeze the bar. Just squeeze the bar. So when you're trying to bench, don't just like consciously squeeze the bar. You could also try and like bend the bar. So what's happening is, as I'm bending, I'm creating tension throughout my lats. When I'm doing a one-arm push-up, I'm literally trying to squeeze everything, trying to corkscrew everything, and this is creating that tension. Again, it allows me to generate extreme amounts of power and strength. And again, I wish I would have known this stuff when I was a little kid, you know, knocking out 1,000 push-ups. So I guess one of the main points here is that it's quality over quantity. Quality over quantity. So again, as a kid, I would knock out so many push-ups, but I was all about quantity, right? Like, as a young kid thinks, if, you know, 100's good, 1,000's better. This book changed in the sense that it's all about the quality of every single rep. You're literally like like a monk. You're like this highly Zen type of focus where you can sit there and just focus your ability to, again, create this tension. So that's the first point. The first point is strength is a skill, and the ability to generate force is a skill that you learn by learning how to create this tension throughout your whole body. The second point is the ability to create this tension is through the concept of making, he doesn't call it this is the way that I think about it, is to make the simple difficult. So if you watch the last video, which we'll leave a link to, I talked about, again, just knocking out tons of push-ups. So that's a simple movement, right? But there's a way to take a simple movement and make it difficult. In this book, he actually only covers 2 exercises. He covers a one-arm push-up and what he calls a pistol squat, a one-legged squat. These 2 movements, though, there's not say infinite ways. I'm sure it's a finite amount, but there's countless ways to change simple movements, a squat, right? We've all seen air squats, regular push-ups, into something beyond that. Again, I'm going to use examples. I want you to think of a gymnast who does a planche, right? What they call a planche. That's where, you know, your hands are on the ground, your feet are off the ground. That's an insane amount of tension, right? A simple movement. Here's a push-up, but are they doing a push-up? No, they're doing something way beyond that. So he teaches in this book how to take these simple movements. And again, the first lesson, right, is strength's a skill. That is the skill of creating tension. He teaches you through 2 simple movements. Pistol squats, again, one-legged squat, and a one-arm push-up, how to use these 2 simple exercises and make them extremely difficult. You know, you could do, again, one-arm push-up, one arm, one leg, elevated one-arm, one leg. We could take this to a planche. Pistol squats, you could do explosive pistol squats, isometric pistol squats. Again, your imagination really is the limit on what you could do. So again, it's something you always have with you. This is going back to the last video I talked about, right? This is something you always have with you. That's why it's a naked warrior. You're a naked warrior because like you don't need anything. You just need the ability to have these concepts in your mind, how to create this tension, right? And then use these simple exercises, make them extremely difficult by taking away leverage, right? It's all about leverage, right? So if I was hold something, if you change the lever, you could create a lot of tension. So that's the second. So the last point, this one actually, I've probably taken with me or used to this day or more than any other point. It's the concept of how to design your workout, what he calls grease the groove. Grease the groove. What he's talking about with this greasing of the groove is a neurological groove. So I always thought about workouts as, like any bodybuilder grew up in the 80s like I did, grew up, you do leg day one day, you do bench press one day, you do, here's shoulder day, here's buys day. He's talking about using movements and doing them, right? Doing them constantly, but staying as fresh as possible. So actually, I'll summarize, I think, the way that he puts it. Do as much work as you can while remaining as fresh as possible. I'll repeat that. He literally, I think, says in the book, get this tattooed on your arm. Obviously, he's joking. I mean, maybe somebody has that tattoo, but do as much work as possible while remaining as fresh as possible. So what does he mean by this? When I'm greasing the groove, I'm not trying to burn out my muscles. This is not about like me creating these bulky muscles. This is about me repeating a certain movement, right? So say, for instance, in the morning, you start off, before you head off to work, you sneak in 2 sets of 2 reps, 3 reps. Now, again, if we take these other concepts, I'm doing high tension exercises, high tension reps. Every rep is like, I'm like a monk focused. Do 2-3 sets. Let's say the next hour rolls around, I have the ability to do these sets again. Boom, you knock out another set or 2. So this greasing of the groove, what's happening is as you do this within a short amount of time, I'm saying like within like weeks, if not a week or 2, this groove in your nervous system happens where these movements become very easy because there's a neurological groove. These synapses are firing where your body knows how to like go through this and again create this tension. The cool thing about greasing the groove is that you feel good. It's almost like you're taking like an energy drink because you're just doing something that's like, again, since you're doing high tension exercises, it awakens your nervous system. Like literally you feel really good. Actually, the first time I developed a one-arm pull-up was through this method. So what happened was I tore my knee in the fight. I had to get surgery, got ACL surgery. Couldn't even do push-ups because it was kind of, I don't want to like try and stabilize the knee, so I relegated to just hand grippers and pull-ups. So using grease the groove, what I would do is every time I crushed by the bar, I would knock out a set, again focusing on tension, and eventually I'm saying within like a few weeks I already was at a high level of overall strength, but within a few weeks of really focusing on this greasing of the groove, I was able to develop a one-arm pull-up. So this grease the groove, for a lot of people too that don't want to actually work out, this is like the lazy man's way to work out, because what happens is you don't have to like, okay, after I get off work, I'm going to run to the gym and do an hour. No, you knock out a set here, you knock out a set there. Pretty soon throughout the day, you've knocked out 10 sets. And you could use this with high reps too. Like I know I talked about in the context of this book doing low reps, but if you did grease the groove, you could do it for high reps, right? You could sit there and knock out sets of 30 push-ups. Again, like knock out another set of 30, rest, but you're never burning yourself out. You're always just doing as much work as possible while remaining as fresh as possible. So those 3 lessons, just to kind of like summarize everything again. Strength is a skill. What is that skill? That skill is the ability to create tension throughout your whole body. The benefits of that, obviously, you get brutally strong. You can do feats of strength that most people can't do. I.e. Gymnasts, right? Those guys are great examples. The other benefit too, if you're just after aesthetics, is not only you get brutally strong, but your body just gets extremely dense and extremely ripped, as long as you're not eating a bunch of bullshit. And then the second point is to take simple movements. You can make them extremely difficult by just reducing leverage. It's something you could do wherever you're at. And the last one is the grease the groove. So you take these movements, you do them just randomly, right? Keep yourself fresh, and you'll feel the benefit. So those are 3 points. I hope that helps somebody out. Again, I'm sure you can still get this book on Amazon. Here's my old copy. But yeah, pick up Become a Naked Warrior.